This video does not provide medical advice. It is intended for informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Never ignore professional medical advice in seeking treatment because of something you have heard within Kingdom Things podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, immediately call your doctor or dial 911. Hey y'all. My name is Ashley-Nicole Phillips, and I am the biblically prophesied Messiah. Full circle moment, alert, alert. So are you. Why, Ashley? Thank you so much for asking that question. What I have in me, you have in you. What you have in you, I have in me. We are in the age of unconditional love, or the second coming of Jesus Christ, Yeshua, or the age of Aquarius, or the Mayan Hopi prophesied fifth world, or the ancient indigenous Native American prophesied rainbow prophecy, or the Aboriginal Australian prophesied returning home, or many ancient prophesied coming of a shift of the ages, biblically prophesied perfect human, biblically prophesied revelation, the rapture, biblically prophesied rapture. The rapture is not about a force coming from external from us to save us. Rather, every human being awakened to our existential, internal, divine light, infinite creation, infinite creator within, in order to be our authentic frequency, in order to be our existential nature, in order to shine our authentic light into reality, in order to manifest a self and a reality that mirrors our existential, limitless nature. Below, I am going to link the Kingdom Things podcast installment. Kingdom Things podcast meets Oneness Connection, Energetic Upliftment. I channel energies and messages from the oneness of all things, the multiverse, or my Akashic record, or my soul, because truly the multiverse, the oneness of all things, the Akashic record, our soul God, your soul God, have 0 degrees of separation because all is one, all is within. I channel energies and messages from the multiverse and publish them within my podcast, Kingdom Things, our podcast, Kingdom Things Podcast, which is available to stream for free on YouTube and Spotify. Kingdom Things Podcast with myself, with Ashley-Nicole Phillips. Kingdom Things Podcast with Ashley-Nicole Phillips is available to stream for free on YouTube as well as Spotify. I publish the energies and messages in which I channel from the multiverse in order to assist humanity, assist us through this rapid expansion, rapid evolution of our consciousness, where we are in mass aligning to our existential nature. What's our existential nature? We are divine energies, infinite potentials, embodied in these physical bodies, having a human experience. At this biblically turn of the age, epoch of creation, we are melding our universal perception with our divine vessels, becoming the biblically prophesied perfect human, or God in the physical. We were created to be in the mirror of God, to be God's mirror. The man was created, we were created to be God's mirror, unconditional love, infinite potentials embodied in physical reality. Physical reality is a new dimension of God's creation, as God's creation consists of infinite paradigms far-reaching beyond our syntax of understanding. I channel the information that physical reality is a newer paradigm within infinite creation, and melding infinite potentials, or God energies, infinite energy potentials with the physical vessel is who we are. We are this prophecy. The human being of planet Earth, we are the prophecy of manifesting infinite potentials in a physical vessel within physicality. What is the human being's dharmic purpose? To be wellness. What is the human being's dharmic purpose? To be in balance. And balance and wellness is something that we perpetuate and evolve into in newer, greater dimensions. When I say greater, I mean more expansive. Be able to perceive more of our limitless nature, more of who we are in every moment. How do we do that? Be happy. How do we do that? Follow our higher spaces. How do we do that? Follow our intuition. How do we do that? Sit with yourself for at least 30 minutes a day. Meditation, quietness with yourself at least 30 minutes a day. Ask yourself, so what do I need to know about myself? Ruminate in your own energy at least 30 minutes a day, every day. And watch how your infinite potentials become more prevalent to you. Watch how your joy becomes more prevalent to you. Watch how your balance and wellness become more prevalent to you. Within this installment of Kingdom Things podcast, this is an audio installment, which you'll find many audio installments throughout the podcast. All the content is timeless. You'll find much of the audio installments throughout the podcast. I have the lecture style as well as audio style, as well as the Kingdom Things podcast meetups, where I channel. I traditionally channel different dimensions of the multiverse or of God's creation. You'll find all that content throughout Kingdom Things podcast with Ashley-Nicole Phillips, myself. All of the content is timeless. I will be linked below. The Kingdom Things podcast meets Oneness Connection Energetic Upliftment. Oneness Connection Energetic Upliftment is a channel on YouTube in which I use oracle cards to channel galactic and celestial healing and uplifting energies and messages to assist us to the shift of the ages, massive shift within ourselves, massive shift through the expansiveness of all of creation or God. Oneness Connection Energetic Upliftment is linked below, as well as it's available to stream for free on YouTube. I'm going to link the We Are Not the Game series, which is Kingdom Things podcast meets Oneness Connection Energetic Upliftment, where I channeled and orated really powerful messages from God's creation or the multiverse to help us break through paradigms of limitation of what the human is, including an episode regarding the human's dharmic purpose, channeled from the oneness of all things of the multiverse. That will be linked below as well, and the reference material under the reference material portion of the description below, that'll be linked. We're going to go ahead and roll into audio style Kingdom Things podcast. Yeah, in audio style, it's still the same. I'm channeling energies and messages from the multiverse, from oneness of creation. It's more candid because as I live my life, live my reality, I'll get divine, Bina, intuitive wisdom, and I'm guided to share however it comes out. Or orate the message, orate the energy, however it comes out. And that's how you get the audio style Kingdom Things podcast episodes. And the lecture is where it's more formal. And my multiverse, oneness of all things, like, hey, Ashley, let's do a lecture tonight. Let's do a lecture today. And I'll just sit down in front of the camera and record the lecture, channel, let the multiverse, the oneness of all things channel through me to present energies and messages that God or the oneness of all things wants to be at the human being's disposal, for the human being to use throughout our evolutionary process, our mass awakening, mass expansion of our consciousness as a human being of planet Earth. We're going to go ahead and roll into this installment of Kingdom Things podcast, audio style, titled Nature Speaks. Now, there are pieces that were channeled in the space of reality that are redacted. I took them out. They're unpublished. I wanted to be candid about that because I don't want to be in the shadow. I don't want to be secretive about things that I don't have to be secretive about. I took a couple of pieces out unpublished only because soul guidance, soul, the oneness of all things, the multiverse is like, the energy of the oneness of all things is like, it's not time to publish those. We're not in alignment to publish those messages. But when I do publish them, I'll be like, hey, this was what was in Nature Speaks that I didn't publish at the time because it's not in alignment to do so. So I'm being guided not to do so. We're going to go ahead and roll into Nature Speaks, the audio style Kingdom Things podcast episode. I love you. Love on yourself. Self-love is the best love because you have to love yourself in the way in which you want your reality to love you back. Self-love is the best love because it activates your genome, your DNA, which is a direct correlation with our consciousness expansion to help receive yourself in more of your existential, limitless nature, to evolve and grow and expand in a way that you expand into more wellness and balance, which is mirrored in your reality, in your life, which helps contribute towards the Kingdom Things podcast prophecy, 2033 prophecy. I was gifted a prophecy by the oneness of all things, or God, Allah, the universe's, the most high white light creator energy. By the year 2033, we will be in the energies of consciousness expansion to understand that we are a human culture, planet Earth, with no disease, no death, no war, no famine, world peace, no poverty, as poverty, disease, death, war, famine, poverty, disease, death, war, famine, were all contrived paradigms that were contrived, manifested out of our limited scope, understanding of who we were. Our minds, our thought patterns, and our energies manifest our reality, manifest our human culture, manifest how we show up in reality, in infinite creation. Death, disease, war, famine, poverty were all contrived through the limited scope of perception of self, who we thought we were, which was all a part of the makings of us, or the ways of creation. I'm gonna link that below as well. It was nothing was to hurt us. Nothing that isn't in our reality was created to hurt or harm us. Nothing that we experienced was manifested or designed divine to create or harm us. Everything is a meticulous master plan by the oneness of all things, or the Most High, or God, or prime source, or universal consciousness. Everything that happens is to allow for the ways of creation, for the makings of us, for evolution. As we forgot who we were, created death, disease, war, famine, poverty, we were in our process of evolution. We're coming out of that dimension of our process where death, disease, war, famine, poverty are necessary for the makings of us. We're stepping in to an epoch, new beginning of creation, new beginning for the human being, new beginning for all things, where by the year 2033 prophecy, we will be in the consciousness, energy, evolution, expansion, to understand we are a human culture, planet Earth, with no disease, no death, no famine, no poverty, world peace. As disease, death, war, poverty, famine were all manufactured, contrived from our understandings of who we were in our last gestational phase of the ways of creation, or the evolution of us, or the makings of us. I'm going to link all the content below that I'm guided to help delve further into everything that I've referenced here. Everything I've referenced here are channeled, I've expounded upon further within the podcast through, again, channeled energies and messages from the oneness of all things. Let's go ahead and roll into Nature Speaks. I love you. Love on yourself. Self-love is the best love because it helps evolve the way you relate with yourself in deeper ways, as well as everyone in reality. To understand that everyone in your reality is only a mirror of dimensions of the self. To step into greater levels of unconditional love and compassion.
The energies in which the human being on planet Earth
see y'all later. Bye.
Co-creates with the activation of higher efficiency, higher proficiency DNA, human being of planet Earth will utilize those energies of the creations of the higher proficiency DNA human being will be utilized to create the golden galaxy. So the energies in which we cultivate and create with our higher consciousness humanity will be projected into a reality in which we'll cultivate, co-create in the golden galaxy. The golden galaxy is going to assist with cultivating, uplifting all the creation, as every macrocosm has a microcosm, just as the human being of planet Earth is assisting with the upliftment of all the creation. The creation that is the human being of planet Earth will project and create the golden galaxy, which will assist with the upliftment of all of creation. So on and so forth. Mashallah, may be God's will.
Nature occurs in cycles. Energetic cycles in which, unless acted on by an external force, will continue to perpetuate the same energetic cycles. Unless acted on by an external force, inertia. Unless an energetic pattern or energetic cycles are acted on by an external force, those energetic patterns and cycles will continue to operate, act in, flow in the same energetic patterning. Inertia. We are rising in consciousness as a human being of planet Earth, or we are being activated in
higher efficiency in our DNA. Being activated in higher efficiency in our DNA is activating into our God, Goddess essence, aligning with our spiritual faculties that span well beyond this realm of reality, where planet Earth, third dimension planet Earth. There is inertia. Dynamics. There are dynamics of inertia pushing and pulling our bodies in ways that we haven't been pushed and pulled before. We have a choice on how we are through the process. We can allow ourselves to be through the process, or we can fight the process. Allowing ourselves to be through the process is relaxing our minds and enjoying life and aligning with things that bring you joy and happiness. Fighting the process is thinking you can think your way through the process. We rise together. I'm going to channel this understanding of mass and gravitational force to the best of my ability. It is a divine paradox as to the balance of nature, that as you shed density or baggage or energetic embodiments that no longer serve you, you become more full. As you said, shed density, energy embodiments, dimensions and aspects of yourself that no longer serve you, become more full. As you shed density, energetic embodiments, dimensions and aspects of yourself in which no longer serve you, you become more full. Why, Ashley? What is your understanding per your Akashic record, per the understanding of creation, per God's plan? Beautiful design. As you relinquish that in which you feel is in your control, as you relinquish that in which is tangible, being guided to look up the definition of tangible. Give me one moment. Tangible. As you release that in which is tangible, perceptible by touch. Tangible, Oxford languages, perceptible by touch, or a thing that is perceptible by touch. Once you release that in which is tangible, perceptible by our human senses that are readily accepted as sensory perception, touch, taste, smell, hearing, sight. Once you release those things in which no longer serve you, that are perceptible by touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, you allow for the increase in magnetism of self. As you allow for being guided to read my download that I received April of 2022 in regards to magnetism, being guided to read the equation M parenthesis G, closing parenthesis. So M times G is equivalent to the mass in M times G of 1 plus the mass times the gravity of the second of 2. M times G is equal to M times G of 1 plus M times G of 2. The mass of an object in relation to gravitational force is relative to magnetic forces. The mass of an object in relation to gravitational force is relative to magnetic forces. If the magnetic force around an object changes, the mass of the object changes as a reaction to the change of the magnetic force. If the magnetic force around an object changes, the mass of the object changes as a reaction to the change of the magnetic force. Whenever we, you wonder why, as to why, like you enter a good relationship and like you gain weight, like you gain relationship weight, you might gain some weight, you enter like a healthy relationship, right? Or you might leave a relationship and lose a lot of weight in which you wanted to lose, right? Leave an unhealthy relationship and lose a lot of weight that you wanted to lose. This is due to whenever we enter into a new reaction, whether that's with a person, place, or thing, we are alchemizing the magnetic force within and of our being. So our form, or what's perceptible to our, senses, touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, and our extrasensory abilities, was perceptive to our senses, touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, and our extrasensory abilities was perceptive to our senses, touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, and our extrasensory abilities changes whenever we enter and leave creations or dynamics with people, places, or things. So like, I've never liked roller coasters. Like I'm not getting on a roller coaster. Like back in the day, I said because I might now. Like I didn't conquer so many things in my life. Like what's a roller coaster? Okay, back in the day, I would be like, I'm not getting on a roller coaster. Like I might get on a kiddie one. Even if I get on a kiddie one, like I'm like, ooh, like where's the seatbelt? Like, ooh, let me hold on to this rail. I didn't do roller coasters, right? Why? I didn't like. I was so rigid in my beingness, stringent in my beingness, like who I was solid in that. I wasn't allowing the flow of creation. I was stagnating the flow of creation because I was stagnated in myself. You're always where you're supposed to be. You're always who you're supposed to be. But I was stagnating the flow of creation because I was stagnating the flow within myself. Why, Ashley? Because I could sense. We call them extrasensory abilities. I can sense like fast movement, fast motion. Like I could sense it, like, and I didn't like it. I was fearful of it. Why, Ashley? Fast motion, fast movement equates to fast change. And with someone that's stringent in their beingness, stringent with their definition of who they are, stringent in the definition of what is reality, we don't like change, especially fast change. So I'm able to sense like change is looming, change is coming, change is coming, change is coming, change gonna come. No, yeah, change is coming. I could feel it, right? And what I would do is, it doesn't matter what I would do. What I'm doing now is I'm allowing and letting go. I'm allowing creation and letting go. I'm allowing creation and letting go. We're on a big ass roller coaster called God. I'm going to enjoy the ride. I've readily talked about the anger that the energy of the divine feminine holds. I readily talked about the anger that the woman holds due to patriarchy or the imbalance of the masculine and feminine energy on our planet. I haven't really delved into the anger within the divine masculine energy. The masculine energy, to be continued. If we continuously downplay the pertinence of history, if we continuously downplay the relevance of history, if we continuously downplay the value of our history, we're downplaying the man, as physicality, earthly things are very much so masculine energy. And therefore the man is continuing on this continual rat race, trying to prove their value, their worth through accumulating things of the planet, right? When the man can come into the alignment with the understanding that the man is the planet. The man is the planet. The man is the planet. paired with his divine feminine energy, he understands that not only is the planet, but he can manifest and accumulate and build within this planet, this realm of his domain in which he rules with ease and grace and appreciation of his majesty. The truth of reality is a truth that our past mental patternings and energies, or our earth personalities or egos, consider, or used to consider to be ominous. The feeling that something unpleasant or bad is going to happen. The truth of reality is a truth, an embodiment in which our past embodiments of self, our earth personalities, or the past human culture of planet Earth en masse perceived to be ominous. The feeling that something unpleasant or bad is going to happen. Why, Ashley? Because the past human culture of planet Earth en masse, or the past ego or past earth personality, the past human consciousness, we fear anything that we don't know, we've never experienced. As a past human culture of planet Earth, the past human personality, the past ego is a survival consciousness where we are built off of, constructed off of, our operative system, our consciousness, our egos, our personalities are built off of, constructed off of showing up and presenting, planning how we show up and present in order to protect the self that was created, the self that we say needs to survive. Survival consciousness. The truth of reality to the survival consciousness is ominous. Why, Ashley? Because the truth of reality is a reality that is diluted with energies in which you've never perceived before. The truth of reality is a reality diluted with energies in which you've never perceived before. The truth of reality is a reality that is diluted with energies that you've never perceived before. How do you plan for that? How do you know? So what does the earth personality or the survival consciousness, the old human culture of planet Earth do? You fight it. You fight the new. You fight the unknown, which is the truth. The unknown is the truth. What you know is an experiences that you had. And if you keep yourself recluse in the known or the experiences that you had, you are not progressing. The truth of reality is expansion. Everything in nature expands. It has seasons of growth, decay, growth, decay, growth, decay as a harvest, or the Fibonacci sequence, or many other patterns in nature, in history. Whenever we question anything in nature or reality, our questionings or assertions are only our survival consciousness or our egos or our earth personalities diverting our attention away from the truth of your question or assertion, which is the underlying energy. And that energy is the newness presenting in your reality, but you question it with a question or assertion that has nothing to do with the energy. That energy you are able to utilize to overlay with your ideology or idealism or dream or manifestation in which you want to bring into your reality. But what we do is we squander the energies by questioning and asserting and diverting our conscious awareness from the fact that we have the keys to our reality. What was energetically stagnating me from taking KTP public, taking Kingdom Things podcast public? What was energetically stagnating me? I remember a while ago, some time ago, years ago, I've always known who my divine counterpart was, my twin flame was, right? And I remember talking to my friends about we were talking just about we always talked about off the wall things. Now I look back and it was my soul, precursor. What's inside of you? But we would talk about our husbands and in the future. I wouldn't say my husband's name in those situations, but we would just be talking about our future husbands in different situations. But what would you do in different situations, right? we would be like, what would you do if, da-da-da-da-da? What would you do if your husband, da-da-da-da? What would you do? We would be asking questions. We would go out to eat, and we would ask, that would be our dinner conversation. Like, what would you do if, da-da-da-da-da? And I remember saying, like, I really wouldn't want my relationship public, because if some shit fell down or went down, it's even more difficult to like face like yourself and your life if everyone knows so much about your relationship. Like, everyone knows who you're married to. They know this. And like, if you go places and be like, oh, where's da-da-da-da? What happened? Da-da-da-da? And you got to relive the shit like every single 5 seconds when somebody asks about him. I remember saying, like, I don't want like my relationship public, because I don't want to like deal with that shit. I didn't want myself public. I've been hiding. I didn't want myself public. Is the mirror to that. Is the inverse mirror to that. I didn't want myself public, because when things happen in my life, it's like I gotta like face it, and not just face it, but I gotta face it over and over again. I used to just like run from myself. Like, when different situations went awry, I would just run onto my next cycle without introspecting and closing out the last cycle. Whenever you lose friends or partners or partnerships or change jobs, it's very spiritual. It's extremely spiritual. It's you transitioning into new dimensions of yourself. And we have to introspect, like, what did I learn? What was I meant to learn in that past situation, that job, spouse, partner, friends, family members? Like, what were they supposed to teach me, right? Because when you shift and make changes in your life, it's extremely spiritual, because you're shifting into new dimensions of yourself. I remember saying, like, I don't want my relationship public, because like, I don't need people in my business. And that's what I felt about myself. Like, I always like to be low key. I like to just try to stay low key to no key, is what I used to say. Like, I'm trying to stay low key to no key, is what I used to say. I'm trying to stay low key to no key. And I had to let that energy go. I had to let that dimension of myself go, that fear of facing myself, because, you know, that's what the recipe calls for. That's what the alchemy of my authenticity calls for. And so it shall be. What do you get when you have a human being that is ascending, and you have the human being that is ascending that cast shame upon its human history or its humanism? You have a human being that's ascending and has an inverted perception of reality. So they perceive ascension as leaving or escaping the dwelling of their vessel, or the dwelling of their bodies. As the dwelling of your vessel, the dwelling of your body is the elementals of the planet or earth. What do you get when you have an ascended human being that perceives escape from the planet or the matrix of the planet, perceives leaving behind the past, as your vessel is an accumulation of the energies of the past, the history or the karma of the planet in which you dwell? You get a human, a planet Earth, in which casts even greater imbalance in the alchemy in which the human of planet Earth believes it is quelling by ascending the planet. When ascension is truly transcending old beliefs in order to acquire new wisdom, in order to garner new wisdom to seed within the planet, to seed within the vessel of the human being of planet Earth. Ashley was having difficulties with balancing the feminine and masculine energy within, most readily the masculine energy, her masculine energy within. As her masculine energy within, she didn't know what to do with it, because there were energies that were from the human collective that say, leave it behind. Old humanity is shameful, sinful. Leave it behind. The man, as told by your Bible, your biblical scriptures, is a product of this earth. The man is the dweller of the earth. The man is the ruler of the earth. You cannot leave your history behind. You cannot leave man behind. the masculine energy is very much so required to acquire the history of the planet or its past or every dimension of self in order to balance self. And as the masculine energy is only a counterpart, only a balancing force of the feminine energy must do the same. No longer casting shame on humanity, the history of humanity, but allowing self to acquire, glean the knowledge of self, every dimension of self, in order to rise into higher wisdom, knowledge of creation, and create with higher wisdom, knowledge of creation and self in its wholeness. Everything in creation has what we will call narcissistic tendencies. These energies in which we call narcissistic tendencies are in all actuality the focus on one's own authenticity or the focus on one's own functionality. It's about studying and acknowledging the narcissistic tendencies within, as well as studying or acknowledging the empathetic tendencies within, and finding the equilibrium. Being focused on one's own authenticity or being focused on one's own functionality, as well as having an inquiring mind, a wonderment of those elements and dimensions in which are adjacent and a part of the operative functionality of the oneness of all. It's no secret, I am on the twin flame journey. Now, God showed me who my divine counterpart would be when I was 9 years old. And I had anxiety and depression my whole life. I now have a different, I can view this anxiety and depression through a different lens, different aspect, different understanding. The anxiety and depression was, my future self or myself in which is my most authentic self. Every human incarnated on planet Earth right now, we are all experiencing this beautiful experience where we're infinite energies or souls having this human experience. Many planetary experiences you incarnate with the remembrance that your infinite energies having a human experience within the creation called God. And you perceive the creation called God as far as your knowledge of evolution allows you to, right? So we incarnate with full amnesia or partial amnesia, where we know there's a higher power. We feel it, we talk to God, but many times, we're talking to an external force. Many times we have a consciousness, a perception that's very much so disjointed, right? Disjointed as we feel as our future selves, our past selves are in some way separate from ourselves of the now. Our future self, our past self has always been, will always be a part of ourself of the now, as all is one. Growing up with severe depression and anxiety that I really kept to myself most of the time, since I was a small child, since I can remember, was my future timeline pulling on me, like my future self pulling on me. And that's how we get the motion in life. That's how we get to realizing, our dreams, desire. We call them dreams, visions, desires in this physical reality, because we have that pulling, tugging at our hearts that brings us into alignment to the situation, places, experiences, in order to assist us with embodying the situations, places, and experiences that will co-create, co-manifest our realities of our highest, wildest dreams and desires in this reality. It's about new levels of trusting the process, right? Because we distrust people, in situations in our lives. It's coming into a sense of ease and understanding that the people and situations in our lives, it's all only embodiments of ourselves, right? It's all only embodiments of ourselves. And each embodiment of ourself, each situation, person, and place, experience has always been, will always be, to assist us in elevating within self, elevating within our reality. So it's casting away the shame, acknowledging the shame, resentment, hatred, acknowledging it for, what we've created. Because like, I'll be looking at some stuff, I'll be like, wow. Acknowledging it, and then understanding, stepping into a higher perception, understanding that what you've experienced, what you've created has always been to assist you in up-leveling in self, up-leveling in your reality, up-leveling in your knowledge of creation, the knowledge of all the oneness of all things, or the knowledge of God or self. The oneness of all things, God and self, in all actuality, have 0 degrees of separation. So we perceive in our human culture many genetically contracted diseases and what we may call disabilities. We perceive that these diseases and disabilities are genetically contracted, passed down through our DNA. Our DNA, our genetics, and our energetic embodiments, or our karma, as our energetic embodiments that we embody in any moment, is a mirror to our karmic patternings, or the lessons that we came to learn in this lifetime, in any lifetime, the lessons that our parents came to learn in this lifetime, any lifetime, the lessons that our grandparents came to learn in this lifetime, any lifetime. I was looking on a website which had the lineage of my paternal, maternal, on my mother's side lineage. And I found an article, 1818, paternal ancestor from born in 1818, New Hampshire. And the article, it's a telegraph. It was a telegraph honoring his death. And the telegraph spoke of my paternal ancestor, born in 1818 in New Hampshire, suffering from rheumatism. We know it as, rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is where your tissues and your muscles and your joints in your body ache, become inflamed, because your immune system doesn't quell or balance the viral and bacterial energy, or viruses and bacterias in your system. The viruses and bacterias in our system are mirrors to the energies of our thought patterns. The energies of our thought patterns, or our consciousness, is contracted, passed down from our ancestry, or our karmic patterns in which we came to learn in this lifetime, came to alchemize it to something else in this lifetime. Last couple of millennia, modern day human culture, we don't have a keen focus on, our karma, or the energies we embody, or the lessons that we came to learn in our lifetimes. The keys to quelling diseases, the keys to quelling disabilities, the keys to uplifting human culture's vitality lies within. As below, as below, so above. So you can look into your lineages and you can see patterns of behaviors, patterns of showing up in reality. And that'll give you a clue as to who you are, how you show up, even if you don't perceive that you show up in that manner, and allows you to introspect on yourself. And when you introspect on yourself, you are gifted with codes or keys to unlock new doors of yourself, or new doors of the existence of all that is, or new doors within God. We call it the kingdom. New doors within God or the kingdom, in order to be given access to new energies, to live with and through, to elevate yourself, your bloodline, your reality. What if bipolar disorder, what if autism aren't disorders or disabilities, but ways of nature in which need to be experienced, embraced, acknowledged, and not figured out? What if bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, autism are ways of nature that need to be embraced, experienced, acknowledged in order to grow and uplift humanity, instead of figure it out, instead of creating our own understandings of it, creating chemical compounds from our own understandings of reality, our own understandings of nature, and then subjecting the individuals, people, families that are experiencing autism, experiencing schizophrenic tendencies or experiencing autism in order to dissipate the appearance of schizophrenia, autism, bipolar, and not allowing that family, that individual to experience it in order to grow and uplevel and garner the wisdom, the power that the schizophrenia, bipolar, autism was always intended to be gifted, granted to the family, to the individuals. We create chemicals from our understandings of nature as if we know better than nature. Okay. We spend our lives as the old human culture of planet Earth wanting to be understood, like trying to paint the picture, trying to find the right words, trying to be understood. Whole time, it's not that energy that perpetuates the actions, the thoughts and feelings and wanting to be understood. It's not any dynamic outside of yourself that you're trying to convince of yourself. It's parts of you wanting you to understand and delve deeper into you. It's parts of you wanting you to understand you and delve deeper within you. It's parts of you wanting to understand you and delve deeper within you. It's not you trying to convince anyone else. And just got a download from they used to be called we can call them Galactic Federation or Galactic Alliance. Same thing. Galactic Federation or Galactic Alliance. Galactic Federation or Galactic Alliance. They're and I'm getting a visual in my mind's eye of this celestial body with planets and stars. Planets up close. I got the download that and I'm feeling the energies that the galactic creation, the Galactic Federation, Galactic Alliance, they're just as enthused for the awakening of the human culture of planet Earth. They're just as enthused for the human culture of planet Earth to step into higher wisdom, knowledge of creation, higher wisdom, understanding of creation, higher wisdom, understanding of self, in order to, uplift self. We have this rhetoric in our culture as the whole human culture of planet Earth that, there's aliens that are after us, they want to get us. Any alien culture that's after us, they want to get us. It's a creation of our own making. It's a creation of our own consciousness. And we're going to have to face that in the future. And that's okay. We'll face it when it comes. But it's a creation of our own consciousness. Whenever anything is out to hurt you or perpetrate against you, it's the creation of your own consciousness. The Galactic Federation, Galactic Alliance is just as enthused for our higher wisdom understanding of creation, our higher wisdom understanding of self. As we rise, that makes creation more pleasant for the rest of creation. You know how we have stresses and anxiety and depressions in our realities. They experience the same thing. They experience highs and lows just like every other dimension of creation, as principle of rhythm, high and low, is a part of creation. They experience the same thing, but once we get into alignment with higher understanding of creation, the lows, we become into more of a balanced creation as a whole. When one dimension of creation becomes more balanced, then it assists with uplifting and balancing the whole creation. So it makes life existing, creating more pleasant for everyone, for every dimension, every aspect of creation. Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. May it be God's will. The principality. Where I'm from, like, I like to say that, like, where I'm from, like, parts and dimensions and aspects of myself are from this energetic wave, energetic space, energetic beingness. It's a principality assisting me with transcending, escorting me into my new embodiment of self, into my new reality, right? And thank you. And I'm walking the pups in the morning walk, and like I have stagnant like energies in my heart space, in my body. My body is like rigid, and my body wasn't allowing for the energies, the principality to come through to help usher me into my new reality, help me release what no longer serves me, help me forgive my past self, help me forgive my past, as my past, every dimension of my past is only a projection of my past self. So I'm like, okay, and I'm trying to release. I'm like, oh, and I'm walking, and I made a bomb-ass pilaf, right? I made a bomb-ass rice pilaf, and I'm super proud of it. I'm super excited that I know how to make rice pilaf. I'm like, oh, like from the top, right? From the top, like I did it off top. Like I don't read recipes. I don't got time, right? I don't read recipes. I don't got time. That's really, really funny. I don't rap. I ain't got time. I don't read recipes. I don't got time. That's really funny. No, I just like intuitive cooking. Like, that's my thing. I've been intuitive cooking since I can remember. So I intuitive cook. I let the ancestors guide me. I just have in mind like what I want to make, and I let the ancestors guide me. And a lot of the times what comes out is not what I had in mind. It's a different recipe. It's a different something that like I get to experience about myself. That, you know, the ancestors or other dimensions show me like I have inside, or allow me to experience a new dimension of myself, as everything in creation is just another dimension of yourself. I wanted to make a rice pilaf, and I ended up making a rice soup. But I was like, oh, okay, still, I know how to make a rice soup, right? I know how to make a rice soup from scratch. So like rice soup, I made a rice soup, which is cool. And Magic Meals with Ashley-Nicole Phillips. You can check out my cooking channel on YouTube. Magic Meals with Ashley-Nicole Phillips. I made a rice soup. I was like, okay, cool. I love this rice soup. But I was like, damn, I kind of wanted to make a rice pilaf. So I went back to the kitchen last night. It's June of 2023. I went back into the kitchen last night, and I wasn't going to record. I was just going to cook something because I was guided to cook. And then I wasn't going to record. And then like I was intuitively nudged to record. I was like, do I really want to? And then my intuitive guidance was like, okay. I was like, no, I'm going to record. You got it. I started recording. And I made a rice pilaf. I made a freaking rice pilaf, and it's really, really, really good. And the really cool thing about intuitive cooking is like you know the basis of the meal, the conceptual basis of the meal, and you can like change things up, variations, and make it something different. Like I made a rice pilaf with spinach and broccoli, but I can make a rice pilaf with like different vegetables and stuff like that. Or like if I wanted to like use seafood or chicken sometimes, maybe I could do that if I wanted to, you know. And I was so proud about this rice pilaf. And I'm walking, and this morning walking the pups, I'm still walking, and the principality, I was like, why am I thinking about this rice pilaf? I'm distracting myself from the brass tacks. What's at hand? And then and then the principality was like, that rice pilaf. How did you know to you put your oil and your seasoning in the pan, and you let the seasoning, kind of cook and ruminate, and then you put the rice in there. You put your rice in there to cook in the oil and the seasonings and the herbs. How did you know how to do that, Ashley? To cook the rice without the water. How did you know how to do that, Ashley? I was like, I made a rice pilaf from a box before. Like, I made a box rice pilaf before. And I remember on the instructions, I remembered that you had to cook the rice in the oil and the herbs. You had to cook the rice in the oil. But I forgot the first time when I made the rice soup. I didn't forget. I was just being shown how to make a rice soup, not a rice pilaf. And the principality was like, exactly. You have everything that you wanted. You want in creation. You've experienced something in your past, your perceived past, in order to assist you with bringing whatever you want into creation next into fruition. So you knew how, you knew, we showed you how you were guided to make that rice pilaf on the second take. And you remembered that you cooked the rice and the oil and the herbs without the water to make rice pilaf. Your future that you're walking into, all of your past and the pains that you've experienced in your past and the hurt that you had in your past, that was the substance that you would need for your future. That was the knowing of cooking the rice and the oil for your future. All of your pain is you cooking the rice and the oil before the water to know how to make a rice pilaf. Your pain is for purpose for your future. This beautiful relationship that you want, you had to go through shit relationships. You had to experience trauma in relationships in order to have the beautiful, forever lasting relationship that you want with your divine counterpart, with your husband, Ashley. I channeled a Kingdom Things podcast installment live entitled What is Reality on June 1st, 2023. And those, I was just informed, those energies and messages were from Sirius, or the Syrian dimension and aspect of self, or the Syrian dimension aspect of all of the oneness of all things. And you know, I was like, I don't remember much on Syrian star beings or Syrian starseed information as channeled by the human of planet Earth. So I was like, let me go watch a video about Syrian starseeds. And when I watched the video, I was like, wow, Syrian. And I heard clairaudiently, that's what they call it. So it's like, that's what, and then I got the stream of information, the stream of energy, the stream of understanding. How we perceive reality is through the precepts of self, or the precepts of the human being of planet Earth, which self, the human being of planet Earth, has infinite dimensions, aspects, and dynamics, in which go into the way that we perceive the rest of reality, or perceive, in this case, the Syrians. And I got the understanding that the Syrians perceive themselves completely differently than the way that the human being of planet Earth perceives the Syrians. Just as the Syrians perceive the human being of planet Earth completely differently than the human being of planet Earth perceives the human being of planet Earth. So it's the mirroring. Syrians perceive us and our greatness as they can perceive the truth of self, or they can perceive the truth of the oneness of all things, or they can perceive the truth of the human being of planet Earth. It's time for the human being of planet Earth to come into alignment with nature and perceive self, the oneness of all things, and the truth of the oneness of all things in self as the greatness in which it is, instead of disparaging self and the oneness of all things.